Are you ready to accelerate the growth of your business? Welcome to the Revenue Growth Podcast. This is the place for business owners, sales leaders, and marketing professionals to get ideas and inspiration to drive exponential revenue growth. Each week, you'll get actionable insights from the world's leading marketing and sales thought leaders and practitioners. Are you ready to grow? Let's join our host, Daryl Amy, author of Revenue Growth Engine.
Welcome back to the Revenue Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Daryl Amy, trailblazer and growth architect. Today, you are going to get to know one of the world's foremost experts in customer service, John DiJulius. I can't wait. You're going to discover how you can succeed and thrive in the relationship economy. Today's episode is brought to you by Convergo, a team helping entrepreneurial companies develop and implement revenue growth plans. If you want to accelerate your growth while building processes that allow the growth to be sustainable, you'll want to meet the team at Convergo. Just go to www.convergo.co to learn how other entrepreneurial companies are growing faster. Our guest today, John DiJulius, is the authority on world-class customer service. He's the Chief Revolution Officer of the DiJulius Group, a customer experience consulting firm that helps clients to become the brand their customers can't live without, all while making price irrelevant. John is a keynote speaker, an international customer experience consultant, and best-selling author of 4 books, including The Relationship Economy. John has worked with world-class companies like Ritz-Carlton, Lexus, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, as well as our friends at EO and YPO. John, welcome to the Revenue Growth Podcast. It is great to have you here.
Thank you, Daryl. It's an honor to be on.
Well, this is such a great topic, the relationship economy. And you believe that right now we are living in the middle of a relationship economy. Unpack what that means to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that, with the digital revolution that we've been experiencing for the last 15 years, it only got accelerated in the last 2 years. Our people skills are, nothing like they used to be. And we're living in the touchscreen age. And a lot of people think that's generation specific, and it's not. I mean, while we do have, the 30 and unders that maybe, weren't forced to have the people skills that, shouldn't be aging you, but me, that I grew up
You can go ahead. I'll take it.
But all generations are more reliant on technology, are on social media, using, all the apps and all the things which, the technology is not the enemy, but using it to, remove the human touch is. And so as a result, none of us have the inherent people skills, or all our people skills are declining, which is, kind of caused a relationship deficit in our personal and professional lives.
Well, and then we add on the last couple of years, right? We're not just a touchscreen world anymore. We're also, for our friends in sales in particular, so much of the interaction now has been across the screen and all of that. It seems like in some ways, relationship skills are at it maybe an all-time low, but also they've never been more important than they are right now. And it seems like we've got to reframe things like, how do we build rapport? How do you develop relationship in this world that we're living in?
And that's it. I did a TED talk called Meet as Strangers, Leave as Friends. And what I talk about it in that and in the book is there is no greater skill that we can work on a daily basis that will have a bigger impact in our personal and professional lives than the ability to build an instant rapport with someone else, whether it's a stranger, acquaintance, friend, coworker, client, you name it. I think we all agree to that, but the problem is that's not taught anywhere. It's not taught at home anymore. It's not taught in school. The only place it's being taught is good businesses, and we have to realize, at no fault of their own, employees, future generation employees, will not have the people skills that we would like them to have. So the best types of companies make that a part of their soft skill orientation training, which is really important.
I love that. And actually earlier today with Selling from the Heart, many of our listeners know I also co-host the Selling from the Heart podcast we were doing a live stream about trust enablement and giving the skills to our sales professionals. I think this goes across the whole company. But if you look at sales in particular, we're bringing salespeople into our sales teams, and we'll train them in product knowledge. We'll give them the sales training, but do they have the skills necessary to develop rapport, to drive conversation, to create and sustain relationships? And I think the answer, the research that I read in the relationship economy, is the answer is maybe not, probably not, or maybe we should at least assume that this is a category of development that we need to invest in our salespeople and all of the people who interact with our clients.
Yeah, and Simon Sinek says it best: stop calling it soft skills, call it human skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, or I'll ask a question to leaders. I'll say, if you hired one of my sons, I have 3 boys, all between 19 and 29. Hire one of them tomorrow to work in a customer-facing, interacting position. How much training will you give them before you let them start interacting with your client, guest, tenant, whatever they may be? And some people say 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. That's actually not the answer I'm looking for yet. I'll say, all right, of the 40 hours or 400 hours or 4,000 hours, how much of it's technical, product knowledge, processes, all that, and how much is it building a rapport, displaying compassion and empathy, making a brilliant comeback when they drop the ball. And in most cases, it's 98, 99% the technical, and the 1% might be, young Daryl, see the sign in the back. It says, we are customer centric. Do that.
Right.
You tell 100 people to go above and beyond, or you're going to get 100 personal interpretations. So we have to remove those personal interpretations.
I think that's really the heart of it. And I love, we get to work with companies, helping them map out customer experience from a sales and marketing perspective, and thinking through that proactively is a really, really helpful thing, because you're right. You can point to the sign on the wall, or you can point to the values of the organization. And I hope you do, but how does that translate to real world experience? And what are some ways that you're seeing companies successfully make that bridge between the sign on the wall and the values, and actually delivering, an incredible customer experience?
Well, I think it's about, I think there's 5 key things in the relationship economy, and hopefully I remember all 5 right now, because I'm not looking at a slide deck that I can.
Fortunately, I have the book right here,
okay,
John. We're going to keep you accountable, and we'll be a resource. How about that?
There you go. But the first one is authenticity. And I'll go back to them. The second one is curiosity, having insatiable curiosity. The third one is must love people. The fifth one is the fourth one is empathy, and then the fifth one is
being a listener, right?
Being a great listener. Thank you.
And a great reader. Yeah, absolutely.
So first thing I say is, listen, I believe 4 or 5 of those can be taught. Now, if you're interviewing and you find, a candidate with any of those or all of those, that's frosting on the cake.
Right.
The one I don't think you could teach, and where an interview process has to filter out, is the love for others. If I genuinely don't enjoy being around people, and people annoy me, and all those things, 10,000 hours of training me isn't going to move that needle. So we do have to have those to catch. But let's talk about, authenticity, especially in sales. Today, people have a BS detector. They know if, you have a hidden agenda and you're just trying to, throw up and get me to buy something that, you didn't even ask the right questions. Like, I'm not even, in that type of business where I need it, versus I always like to use this example that you might have read in my book, but now it's not, I think it's not as good of an example because it might be true. So I talk about the proverbial foxhole, bomb shelter that our parents and grandparents used to build during the world wars, right? Well, now it's, I used to joke because that, didn't think that was a possibility. But I always say, let's say, however, think about this, that your client, your CEO that you're supporting, that their bomb shelter only seats 2 people. How sure are you that you have one of those spots in your CEO's bomb shelter? So we discuss that, how you become that partner that businesses can't live without, right? And knowing their top 3 priorities, being a resource broker for anything they need, meaning, if they want to paint their corporate walls a new color, while you or I probably know very little about interior design, we know someone that does. Right. And they know they can come to us for that, So, other things, they should never meet anyone smarter at what we do than us. And we're always reminding them that, so all those things. So.
Well, I love going back to one of the things you said really fascinated me here. Of these 5 things, 4 of them can be taught. So when we think about being authentic, being a good listener, being obsessively curious, having incredible empathy, those things can be taught, and I'm assuming caught as well. What are smart organizations doing to equip their organizations, their people, to be good at this? I'm curious what you've seen out there that's worked well.
So the best thing, I have seen that we do with all our clients is for empathy is, and they can be taught. I don't know about you, Daryl, but I was horrible at all these things. I really enjoyed people, always enjoyed people, but I didn't have empathy for you. I didn't, I was just like, dude, you're just, be like, when I was 19, 21, I didn't realize what you were, dealing with in your life. And
right.
Someone taught me that. I wasn't curious. I wanted to talk about 2 things, customer service and baseball, right? The Expos. And if we ever went out to dinner with another couple and that gentleman that we were going out to dinner with didn't like my 2 topics, I didn't want to go, right?
Right.
It wasn't what I wanted to talk about. So I know, sadly, from confession, that these things can be taught. So first, empathy. We help, and any of your listeners can do this, is create a day in the life of your customer. And what are they going through at home or at work before they pick up the phone, before they get on the Zoom, before they pull into your parking lot, that, should make us realize, man, Daryl really needs me today in 2 ways. One, he needs me just to be present and in the moment, because everyone's like, rushing him and make him feel like next in a transaction and saying no, and it's against our policy and all that stuff. And then the second thing, as I see Daryl, my client, trying to be successful in his job, my expertise can really come in and, make him be more successful, make him look great to his boss, make him look great to his client. So that really helps when you help your employees and yourself realize all the things our clients have going on. And with curiosity, we always say, I love to ask people how many people, in the audience think they're really good at building an instant rapport with others. And, everyone raises their hand. I say, BS. I said, well, it's not that I don't believe you. You got to prove it to me.
Right.
Because if we met at Starbucks or at a networking event or whatever the thing was, and we spoke for 15 minutes or 25 minutes, it doesn't mean I built a rapport with you, because I could have been talking to you about me for that 25 minutes. And listen, we're all coded to be preoccupied with what's going on in our life. It's my flight that was delayed. It's my son that got in trouble. And so that's a hard urge when Daryl says, John, how you doing? And I tell you, right, to not do that. So we always say, if we have a 3-minute conversation or a 30-minute conversation, you have to know 2 or more things of the other person's Ford, F-O-R-D. And if I learn 2 or more things of Daryl's Ford, from Canada, used to go to the Expos games with his dad, and all those things, met a beautiful woman from the South, all those things. That's what everyone's Ford is, what we geek out about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when I'm focused on, finding out someone's Ford, it make me less likely to tell you about woe is me and, all the things going on in my life.
I love it. And that curiosity becomes curiosity. And I'm speaking as a recovering sales rep myself, and I'm down to therapy twice a month. It's going really well. But to all my sales friends, that curiosity, we were trained to have curiosity about, things like, hey, John, what's your pain? Right? Rather than having, right. Or what keep worst sales question ever. But we were trained to have curiosity about that, but to actually have curiosity that comes out of loving people and going, okay, I want to know about your family, your occupation, recreation. I want to know about that. I want to know about your dreams. And to note those things as they come up and pay attention to them. I just think it's beautiful. That's a great practice inside sales. And I see that you're coaching companies to have everybody doing that across the company, which is just amazing. Just
something, we talked about, Daryl, earlier, it might have been before we got on, but with Zoom, right? We're all in the or virtual world. I'm not getting in your office anymore like I used to, or what. But,
sure you are.
Right. Like,
look behind me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of times I see what college you graduated from, and like, what's that beach? We just got back from Maui, and but sometimes we're so focused that we're not paying attention to all the great customer intelligence that people have behind them.
I love it. Absolutely. One of the things I was having a moment remembering, I don't know about you, when I read books, sometimes I remember, like, when something really stands out, I remember where I was. I was sitting in the baggage claim waiting. I was on my way to a conference. I was waiting for my books to come out of the baggage claim in the box. And I read a section of the relationship economy where you said that you made a really powerful point about young people coming into the workforce and serving clients who are maybe older or high income people, young people who have just graduated from college and dined at establishments like Taco Bell.
Applebee's, right?
Applebee's is a big night, right?
Right? Like, we're fine dining. We're going to Applebee's. I'm
right. We're going to splurge tonight, right? That was college. I don't know if I think I went to Chili's a couple times while I was in college. But now we're asking them to go serve high net worth clients who are used to flying first class, staying at Ritz-Carlton, and and so it seems like that what really stood out to me is, wow, the gap between a new to the workforce person in sales, let's just stick with sales here, or marketing as well, that is trying to communicate with somebody who is, decades ahead of them, but also lives in a world that's very, very different. That gap, when I saw that in the book, I just almost gasped. I was like, wow, yes. How do we tell a Taco Bell college graduate, how do we help someone like that discover how to communicate with a C-level executive and deliver that level of experience?
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest disconnects, is we think that customer experience and all these things are common sense. And I love the golden rule as in itself, but I think it's a horrible compass for your customer service. You don't want my 19-year-old son to treat your clients the way he wants to be treated.
Right.
He's like, dude, what's up? And you'll say, Bo, can you pull your jeans up and maybe wear a belt, right? Yeah, but that's where he's at right now. That's the circle he's running in. But you give him some training. You tell him what your non-negotiables are. You teach him what world class looks like, and he could be a rock star. But there is that disconnect. The kids parking cars at the Ritz-Carlton have never stayed at a Ritz-Carlton. They're driving 8-year-old cars like we did when we were 21. They're not, even though they're parking Lamborghinis and Maseratis and anything that ends with a vowel, they don't know what that's like, and they don't, and then we also could judge people like, oh, you're staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Your life is grand for you.
Right.
You don't have problems. Why are you complaining that, it took me an extra 7 minutes to get your car, right? I mean, we can make those judgments. And so that's why it goes back to the day in the life of a client. That could be a huge CEO that has a meeting with a venture capitalist or a big potential client that could change the course. He could become Uber tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or that CEO had to lay off a quarter of the workforce because the board of directors said, do this. Right. And
100%.
And that CEO, I used to have salespeople. I remember just back in my days of being a sales leader, you'd have that young sales professional come back to the office crestfallen. They didn't get the deal or they can't move the deal forward. And they're like, I just don't understand. We were going to save them $37 a month. Yeah. And, to which you go, that guy you were talking to paid more than that to park his car for lunch, right? Like, let's connect to something bigger than that. But if you're 21 years old, the $37 per month might be really helpful.
10 hours of work or 5, who knows what it is.
Right. Today. Yeah. Well, I love the day. I love the day in the life of what was 10 hours of work when you and I were doing minimum wage. But I love the day in the life of, I think that's an incredibly powerful training and development concept for anybody, but certainly marketing and sales professionals. This is why I'm a raving fan advocate of getting marketing people out in the field with clients. Salespeople get out in the field with their clients, but getting marketing people out there so that you're able to understand, like, it's not just a buyer persona that you wrote down on a piece of paper.
Right.
But
DoorDash just announced, I don't know if you saw it, that everyone at headquarters, from engineers to the CEO, have to deliver 1 day a month. Think about that, because DoorDash is really
saw that. Someone quit over that too, by the way. That was the headline.
Well, which is pretty sad. Like you said, that it's beneath you, but their primary customer is really the drivers, right? And so now you get to see what it's like to be a driver, and maybe a consumer screaming at you because the order screwed up, it's late, it's cold, it's whatever it wasn't supposed to be. But that's exactly what you're saying. Now you can go back to headquarters and you realize the impact. We call them invisible service providers, people who don't touch or come in contact with the customer, but affect the people that do. And usually they don't understand. No fault of their own. They don't understand how hard the job is for the people that are coming in contact with the customer.
Yeah, that's really, really powerful. John, one thing that you and I both have in common is we both are engaged with the Entrepreneurs Operating System in our businesses and traction and all of that. And one of the core parts of the Entrepreneurs Operating System and traction is process, or for my fellow Canadian friends, process, right?
Yeah.
We want process. It's good. I was joking that when I was a kid in London, Ontario, we could turn our TV antenna just the right way and pick up Cleveland television. So little known fact. But when we think of process and customer experience and in delivering that incredible service, how do those two things go together? Because there's one part that feels like process, which I'm a huge believer in, is pretty stiff and can somewhat feel impersonal. How do we build like the personal touch into process?
Yeah, you gotta marry the two, and you got to be brilliant at the basics. The only time, to me, process operational is remembered is when it's screwed up, right? So if I order something from you, books, and I get them in 2 to 3 days, and I ordered 20, I got 20. I'm not like calling people saying, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe Daryl sent me the right number of books."
Incredible.
Right. Now, if they don't come, or they come and there's only 10, or they're the wrong books, right? The only time process is memorable is when it's screwed up. If you make an appointment and for 3:00 on Wednesday, you come in and I'm here for, we have you again, you're not saying, "Oh my God, this is the greatest place ever." So I'm not de-emphasizing we got to be brilliant at the basics. But most people are doing that you're competing with. If I order widgets from anyone,
Mm-hmm.
99 times out of 100, I'm going to get the order accurate and right. And so there's no differentiator. Now, if you can personalize it
Mm-hmm.
and do something to that, hope the spring in Cleveland is warming up for you. And you're like, how did he know? Well, it was in your address that we were shipping to, right? But it's like, something like that. It's going on LinkedIn before we have a call and finding out, the mutual friends or the connections or where you graduated from or whatever that looks like. And today, adding the experiential. It's like when you check into a hotel, the 2 things or 3 things we always get asked is credit card and ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they make us initial the room rate and date of departure, and they hand us our keys. That's great. It's not great. It's what we expect. It's not memorable. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if they also say, welcome back, Mr. Amy, right? How'd they know? Well, the computer said that he's been here before, even though this could be the receptionist's second week and you haven't been here in a year, but it's starter. And they say, how was your trip in from, Utah? How do you know that? Well, I handed you my driver's license. It's not like you had to go stalk me and get a restraining order to find out this stuff. So it's low-hanging fruit that shouldn't take any more time, shouldn't add any more complexity, but it's a wow to the customer.
I think that's great. And, if you think in the context of sales, and by the way, right before our conversation, I was just totally enjoying your conversation with Matt Dixon, Revenue Growth Podcast alumni, Challenger, a customer, author, Challenger sale, just massive fans and respect for that. But if you think about sales and you think about the role of a sales professional, what can a sales professional do? I personally believe that a sales professional has incredible control or incredible opportunity to contribute to customer experience, obviously early on in that customer's prospects experience with a company in ways that really a lot of people can't, right? This is really a great opportunity. What advice would you give to sales professionals and their leaders in terms of creating something that is meaningful, memorable, or inspirational?
To me, and you certainly know this area better, but I think the curiosity and listening is really important, and they kind of blend in. There's a thing, insatiable curiosity. My definition for this is if someone asks a question, it doesn't ask 2 to 3 follow-up questions, odds are they weren't listening. Right. And it's like, hey, where are you from? Good, Daryl. You want to know where I'm from? Right. Because I just wanted to answer it. Yes. And it was just kind of a setup so we could talk about me, my favorite topic. Right. So we should try to live by the 4-to-1 ratio of questions asked versus answered. And oh, my God. You get someone talking, they're going to tell you more than, any research you could ever do on them. And then the listening skills, listen like you're wrong is a great one.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's a hard one. But listen like you're like maybe instead of like, oh my God, you just ticked me off and I want to tell you why your opinion or idea is totally wrong. And everything is decisive today, right? With politics and vaccinations and COVID and you name it. And instead, just say, I wonder if he has a point. And let me listen. What if he's going to add something to mine? So doing things like that, just making sure you're making the person talking the centerpiece, being an active listener, asking more clarifying questions. Tell me more about that, Daryl. Like, where did that come from? How did you come up with that? And I just think people love that, and they love who they we all choose to do business with people we like, or you better be the cheapest, right?
Right. Yeah. And in the things that matter, it's going to be more the like and trust side of things. And this whole book, and by the way, I think that The Relationship Economy is one of the best sales books I've read recently, to which you smile and say, this isn't a sales book, but it actually is. It's one of the best books in terms of connection an authentic relationship, which I believe is at the core of sales success. So I am a huge fan. I highly recommend the relationship economy. I've
Thank you.
almost handing them out like candy, John. So, and I'm really thankful that our mutual friend Dave Sanderson was curious enough to begin asking me about what made me tick. And when I said customer experience, he said, you got to get to know John. And I'm so glad he bridged the
I'm glad he
introduction.
did too. He's a great guy.
Amazing, amazing. Well, John, I want to say a sincere thank you for sharing time with us. How can people get more John DiJulius in their lives?
The DiJuliusGroup.com, the DiJuliusGroup.com, DiJulius group. And then, on there, or John DiJulius on all the social media channels, and, post blogs and quotes and videos every day on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff.
Awesome. And you got to check out the Customer Service Revolution podcast as well. That episode with Matt Dixon was fantastic. John, thank you. You're a true inspiration, and I really, really appreciate you sharing time with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Really, really cool. And thank you to everybody in the Revenue Growth Podcast audience. It's great to hear from you. I'm deeply appreciative of everybody who's liking, commenting, and most of all, leaving reviews on the podcast. It helps us spread the word. We've got an amazing roster of guests coming up this spring, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. And we've got this is an important time right now. And I think the things that John shared with us today, I want to challenge you to get a copy of The Relationship Economy and think strategically about how you can integrate these ideas to improve not only your sales and marketing, but customer service across your entire organization. I know you're going to find value there, and it's going to make you better. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up, so keep at it, keep going. And as we say every week, let's get going and let's get growing.